And we are live, guys.
Hey guys, how are y'all doing?
Hi.
With the first music that we're doing, it's something new. We're working out the kinks, and unfortunately, Judge Fonseca is going to be our guinea pig. Today we have the great Judge Ysmael Fonseca. I am Roman Bettis, and we have Myra and Madi. And I would like to first welcome Judge Ysmael Fonseca. How are you doing, Judge?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the invitation and having a chance to talk to everyone on this channel.
Okay, what is that? That's Madi. Madi, that's what happens when you have kids. It's okay. Today we also have Madi de Leon. Madi, how are you doing, Madi? Hi. She doesn't want to say anything because somebody is yelling in the background. Well,
yeah.
The joys of working from home, right? Just like you said earlier. And we also have Myra Gutierrez. How are you doing?
Hello,
Myra?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Myra is from Latinos for Trump, right? That's who you're from and you're with. Madi, yeah, cool.
Hi, guys. That's my assistant, Sebastian, and making a mess.
That's okay, no. We also have Manny with us, who's testing the ring light tonight, apparently. Manny is also testing a lot of cool stuff now today. We're trying to do little gizmo stuff because we want you all to enjoy the show. But we want to get right into it. Judge Ysmael Fonseca, you are a judge. You are running under the Republican ticket, but you will be on the ballot in Hidalgo County only, if I'm not mistaken, in the state district 464th. Is that what it is? Or am I got the right number? Because there's so many different numbers.
You got it right. It's the 464th District Court of Hidalgo County, and I've been serving on the bench since it's actually been a year. Just a year. September 12th was my 1-year anniversary on the bench, and I was appointed by the governor. And I'm doing everything I can to stick around and stay there for a full term.
Yeah, and you replaced right now Justice Jaime Tijerina, right? That's who you replaced on the bench at that point.
Yeah,
or no?
He was elevated to the Court of Appeals after unfortunate events in the judiciary last year, and that left a vacancy on the court. And that's when I went through this application and interview process, and the governor decided to give me a call and make me the offer I could not refuse.
Yeah. And just so everybody knows, we're going to have Justice Jaime Tijerina on the show tomorrow. So it's going to be great going from you and then going to him. We're not going to have a Texas Supreme Court Justice on Wednesday. We're going to actually have Deborah D'Souza, the wife of Dinesh D'Souza, who's an executive producer of the new movie called Infidel that comes out on September 18th. So we're going to have her on the show on Wednesday. We can call her Justice, I guess. Judge, tell us about yourself. So introduce yourself so everybody can know who you are. Who are you? A very easy question.
Sure. Well, I grew up in East Edinburgh, was born in Westlaco. My dad has been a car salesman for years. My mom did migrant work, worked with migrants and Edinburgh School District. And I was fortunate enough to get some scholarships to go to Notre Dame, where I got my bachelor's degree and my law degree. And then after that, decided I had to come back home. And that's where I've been for the last 11 years. I practiced for 10 years before getting on the bench. And I did all sorts of work, doing civil work mostly, defending. Part of my job, something I'm very proud of, is working with different cities and police officers that were being sued for allegations of use of force. So I got to work with our men in blue quite a bit throughout the valley, and then that's when I made it to the bench, which has been a year ago.
So what kind of, I noticed looking at a little bit on your legal background, it says you primarily worked for an insurance firm or something, but that wasn't the only type of law you did prior to being a judge, correct?
Right. Firms are usually divided into plaintiff firms or insurance defense firms. I mean, most people have insurance, so cities do too, and police officers are covered under that insurance. So that's how we ended up getting the cases. So it's an insurance defense firm, but it's more broad than that, because it's not just car crashes. It's also working with cities and counties, and also working with construction companies. For example, we did some work there. And I defended some construction companies as well. So it's quite varied. And I also liked helping out with probate matters. When people had needed a guardian, needed a help out a ward, someone that's had a disability or aren't able to care for themselves and their property, make decisions on their health care, financial decisions. I enjoy doing those too, kind of help out. Unfortunately, it's very expensive to get legal help on those kind of cases, and there aren't a lot of lawyers that handle those issues that can do so for a low cost. And luckily for me, I had a firm that supported me. That wasn't the focus of my practice, so I could go ahead and deviate a little bit and help out people like that.
So, so people who are watching this live stream, and later on when you watch it with not live stream, there's certain questions that we're not allowed to ask judges in the state of Texas, and it's because of the code of canon law or judicial canon that does, there's certain issues you should not talk about as a judge. So we can't ask you, are you pro-life, pro-choice, those kinds of hot button issues. And it is not that he doesn't want to answer, hey, Josh, answer the questions. It's just he's not allowed to answer these questions. So you do have questions on hot topic issues. You can't ask him. You can try to ask it, but he'll probably won't answer, so don't waste your time. But there's a lot of stuff we can ask you, and because your background is important. And the thing is that, hi, Yolanda, so proud of Judge Fonseca. Welcome to RioPolitics Live. Your background can tell us about yourself. It's kind of like what happens when a Supreme Court justice is trying to become nominated. We can ask about your background, and then maybe give us a little bit of insight as to who you are and what kind of a judge you could be. But you're currently a judge, so we have some sort of an idea. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and then we'll let Myra and Manny join in the fun. What is the craziest case that you, and not as a judge, obviously, but as a lawyer, ever had that you can actually talk about? Like, just the craziest, weirdest case that could make like a movie or something, maybe, or make it like Files or something like that.
I wish being a lawyer was that fun, where I could write a script for a movie that would make millions of dollars. But unfortunately, I don't think so. Well, I like to sometimes when I get asked these type of questions, I go back to before I was a lawyer. Before going to law school, I worked for the Justice Department in Washington, D.C., and I was part of the Civil Rights Division where we prosecuted human trafficking cases. And unfortunately, those are some of the toughest cases because human trafficking a lot of times, it's people bringing in people from all around the world, not just Mexico or South America, the Philippines and whatnot, and then bringing them here, promising them, the American dream, and unfortunately, they just end up sleeping in a cot or in a basement, and they're slaves. It's modern day slavery. So one of the cases that I had was up in New York, and we found there was this couple from Peru that had brought over 50 Peruvians from Peru to go work in New York, to put them in a warehouse and slave away. They would feed them porridge on a daily basis, 3 times a day. They all slept in the basement. They made them carve out a niche where they would sleep. Just terrible. It's like a horror film. It's really incredible what these people go through. And then, but after they were arrested, we could never find the money. We never found the money. Part of my job was looking for the money, and I just couldn't find it. No money trail whatsoever. And the people were sentenced. They were sent to jail. This couple was sent to jail. And then a couple months later, one of the victims asked the team, "Did y'all keep the little girls?" This couple had a daughter. "Did you keep her stuffed teddy bear?" Which was strange well, no, that's her teddy bear. She got to keep her teddy bear. Well, that's where they kept all the money. So we let her go, and she was nowhere to be found anymore. So tens of thousands of dollars were stuffed in a teddy bear, and we didn't know.
Wow.
So unfortunately, the bad guys got away that time. But that's one of those cases that just really stuck out, and only because how do you get 50 Peruvians into the United States in the time of after 9/11? This was all after 9/11. So
And you said this was a New York case, so you went to New York and saw all of this was happening in New York.
yeah, and it happens all across the country. It was so surprising to me that I was going all over the place. I was going to LA, going to New York, and not just New York. It's not New York City, Long Island, Buffalo, Illinois, all sorts of places. It's a real tragedy, and unfortunately, we haven't been doing enough. I don't think. Lately in South Texas, there's been a push from the Attorney General's office and prosecuting more of these type of cases. I know it's been a priority for the governor, and I hope more people are aware of what this is a big issue. I keep going. If you don't stop me, I'm just gonna keep talking.
No, it's okay. I mean, the thing is, I don't like interrupting people as much as possible. Manny's already told me many times, like 2 minutes and that's it. Like you need to interrupt. No, I like the free flow of you people to say something. Orlando did have a question for you, Orlando Perez. Can you please explain the difference between a judge and a justice?
Sure. A justice is a judge that sits on a court of appeals or the Texas Supreme Court or the Court of Criminal Appeals. So those are the guys that check my homework, pretty much. Jaime Tijerina, who you said will be on tomorrow, he's a justice. He was a judge until he moved up to the Court of Appeals. And that's in Texas. In the federal system, you're a justice only if you're in the Supreme Court of the United States.
All right. I'm going to let Myra Myra, want to jump in and ask a question?
I have a question, and I have it written if I'm looking over here. What do you believe are the causes of the high rates of minority incarceration? What are the causes? What do you think? I mean, especially right now with everything that's going on, what are the major causes you believe is, the high incarceration for minorities? Right.
I didn't know that this show lasted a whole day where we could talk about the causes of incarceration. It would take forever, but I think most.
Well, let's say the biggest thing here in the Valley. What are we facing the most? I know we have a high percentage of poverty. That's what they say is one of the high, the high percentage of poverty here in this area.
Poverty has to do with a big percentage of it. Most of the people that are in my courtroom need to have attorneys appointed for because they just don't have the money. But I think the bigger issue is mental health. It's really when you come down and look at it, most of the people that are in the system because of addictions or because of mental health issues that just haven't been addressed, that people have been dealing with for years, and they just get into this cycle of drugs, or they start committing small crimes, and they start graduating into bigger, more serious issues. So I would say that it's partly poverty, but we also have an issue with people that are dealing with mental health issues. If you look at the prison population, it is 6 times more likely that someone in the prison population is suffering from mental health issues compared to the general population. When I learned that, and I've been studying a lot on the issue because I was just so appalled at the type of cases that were coming before me, that I really wanted to understand, why are we seeing these type of issues, not just drug issues, but people with mental health problems. And then we also have a system in which, unfortunately, if someone needs to be committed and they have some schizoaffective disorder, that needs to be treated before facing a judge or facing a jury, it takes months for them to get treatment. It's about a 3 to 4 month wait to go into a mental institution run by the state. So there's a problem, and I think
I didn't expect that answer at all. Mental issues. I didn't expect that. Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's part of it. I mean, I don't think that really answers your question as to why minorities are more affected. I think that is answered by the socioeconomic differences in different parts of the country. I mean, in South Texas, in Hidalgo County, I mean, we have a vast majority that are of Latino heritage or descent. So that's not. I don't see much of a difference there. Not here in Hidalgo County, but I'm sure in other parts of the country that's not an easy, but the best way to look at what is that leads to minority populations being in prison.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in. We've got a guest question from someone. I guess he's a little known.
Oh, yes. Zach Cantu. Hey, Zach. Love to be here. Don't worry. I will be asking the Zach Cantu sponsored question when we do rapid fire. I should have warned you.
That's okay.
How much junk food, how much leftover junk food did you have to get out of your predecessor's desk?
None. And so he owes me. I should tell him he owes me some snacks to put in the office.
Well, to be honest, when I called Justice Tijerina earlier today, and he had just finished his walk, so I'm assuming there should not be any junk food if he's exercising, staying in shape.
He's probably a lot healthier than I am. So.
Yeah, well, he's always been a team. Fonseca, hey, Xochitl, hey, Edgar. Please like and share our Facebook page and our YouTube. If you are on YouTube, please share, subscribe. Please share this feed because we want to share it throughout everybody, especially in Hidalgo County, because this will be helpful. Madi, do you want to ask a question of your boss? Are you allowed to? Is he going to get mad at you?
No, I don't know. Should I put the pink slip in, or am I going to get it? I don't know. Just kidding.
That's all right.
Okay, if you don't want to ask a question, it's okay. I don't mind.
I can ask a question. Do you have a case that wakes you up in the middle of the night thinking that you wish you would have handled different?
A case? No, I don't. Before making a decision, yeah, there are some cases that keep me up at night. The toughest cases are family custody disputes, because you're having to look into the best interest of the child. And when you have parents that don't agree, it's really tough. It really is. But once I make a decision, I'm a type of person that will put things to prayer. And when I make a decision, I think it through quite a bit, and I'm sure attorneys that practice family law get a lot of time in my court. They get a lot of hearings. Marty can tell you how many hearings we have on family cases. We can have 6, 5, 7 days worth of hearings just so that I can hear everybody. And throughout this process, I'm constantly deliberating and looking at both sides. So while the case is going, some of them keep me up at night. They do, because you don't want to make the wrong decision, whether it's leaving a child with one parent and excluding the other. It's hard. But once I make a decision, I like to just put it in God's hands. At that point, I've done everything that I can. I've given both sides an opportunity to be heard. And I've done everything that I could to make sure I reach that decision. So you have to do that. Otherwise, I'd go crazy. There are so many cases. I need to come. Yeah. And this is how I measure on whether I did something. If I can come back home and hug my kids and be at peace, that means I had a good day. So that's kind of how I look at it. Once I get home and I'm okay with myself, because I can come home to my kids and just be a dad and a husband.
Marty wanted to interrupt.
Yeah, I just want to say too also that I think he's putting that his response is very modest. He does really read every case, in preparation to all the hearings that he has. And I think it's just very important that the public knows that, it's not just a person occupying a seat in the bench in the courtroom. There's a lot of reading that's involved, a lot of case law, and not just case law that's provided to him to read and understand further the arguments in a case, uh, but that's something that he does. We prepare him every day before, even sometimes a week in advance, and letting him know this is what's occurring. These are the settings that are going to be heard, and it's staff's job to make sure that he's very, very well prepared, and that is a lot of work and responsibility. Um, and the family cases that we do have, and those are very sensitive issues, and to be able to, for him to dedicate as much time that he has, I think that that just says a lot about the type of judge that he is in the courtroom. And prior to even coming in to work at the courthouse, my experience was in the Capitol. I've read through almost every piece of legislation that has come into the state, and this is just a different, you know, it's a different perspective that I think is very important for the public to really understand what judges really do uh, in the bench and in the courtroom.
One of the things, Judge Reinaldo G. Garza, who was the first Mexican American federal judge in American history, when one of him and even Judge Fidelio Vela, not the congressman, one of the things that their faith played a major role in their being jurists, being judges, and they would go pray or go to daily mass because they were Catholic. They would go to daily mass, whether at the cathedral or like Sacred Heart here in Brownsville, and they would just go to daily mass before they would go to be a judge, especially when you had like a death penalty case of some sort. Do you believe that your faith plays a role, and how does it play a role in your strength and your being able to be a good judge? Were you able to hear the question? Did you go away? I think you froze. Oh, there you are.
There he is. He's coming back. You're getting a little frozen there, Judge.
Okay. Were you able to hear the question, Judge?
I couldn't do my.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, am I breaking up?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you're back now. I think coming back.
I heard your question. I just noticed that I'm freezing up a little bit. They're probably using up all the bandwidth. Sorry. Yeah, I did hear your question. So I couldn't do the job that I do if I didn't have had a faith at the center of my life. It's too tough of a job to just do without having any compass to go with it. And I too, I'm also Catholic, so I do like to go to mass in the mornings or in the afternoons, not just on Sundays, because I need to be grounded somehow. I'm not the end all be all. I have a fancy title, but that's it. I'm making decisions that affect people's lives. So, a couple of weeks ago, there was one of the readings at Mass was in the first book of Kings, chapter 3, where God asked Solomon, "What do you want? You can ask for anything that you want, and what is it that you want?" And Solomon asked for a listening heart so he can differentiate between good and evil. That really struck. That really it was perfect for what I think judges need to be asking for, being able to differentiate between good and evil, because that's what our job is. And so little things like this, the readings and things that, come up throughout my faith life, that's what keeps me going. And that's what keeps me doing things. So yeah, faith is essential.
That's your influencer in life, what you do every day at the courtroom? Faith and, the Bible, the readings. That was going to be my question for you. What are your biggest influencers?
Yeah, scripture gives you so much. I have a quote from Deuteronomy right next to my door when I'm walking out of onto the bench. It's a daily reminder that everything that happens in a courtroom, all our laws are based on a greater law, on the natural law. So it's something I take very seriously. If I didn't, I wouldn't. I need to have peace with myself at the end of the day, and I can only do that if I know I'm doing the right thing.
Ray had a question. Ray is one of our local chess coaches here in Brownsville. Ray had a question. With COVID-19 all around us, the question is a, quote, positive that knows is positive, does not care, and affects the community. Should this individual be charged with a crime? And yes, what is the charge? I'm not sure you'll be able to answer this question because of judicial canon, but the question is there.
It's a tough one. I don't know if whether something's a crime or not. It's up to the legislature. I do know that if you are in quarantine because you've tested positive, leaving the quarantine would be something that's prosecuted. So we do have laws in place that allow for the prosecution of people that willingly, knowing that they tested positive, go out into the community. And that's something that our local prosecutor would do. I can't comment on whether that's wise or not, but the prosecutors are the ones that make those decisions. All that I can do if I were to have a case, but I believe that all those cases are routed to one judge in the county. The 370th District Court is the court that's been assigned to hear these type of cases. But if I were have to listen to those cases, I would have to apply the law. If that's what the law says, that's what the legislature passed, then I would have to.
So just leaving the quarantine is just one issue by itself. If you're ordered to quarantine,
right?
The acts that happen after the fact are a different issue,
right?
Right?
And it'd be pretty difficult to prove that it was that this individual, having left their quarantined home, is the one that actually infected me, because there are so many ways that you could be infected. Going out in public. I mean, how do you know that someone's breathing? Someone in particular was the one that infected you. It's kind of tough legally.
Trying to blame who did I get the flu from? I mean, when you're in or somebody, I mean, there's several people that have the flu but don't know it yet. I mean, who gave you the flu? You don't know.
Right. About a year ago, before this whole thing started, my nephew had a birthday. We went. There were about 20 of us in the family. About 15 of us got the flu. We still don't know how we got the flu. I mean, we think it's because of this party, because we all got the flu, but who started it? There's no way of knowing.
In line with the coronavirus.
Sorry, guys, my kids are using up all the
yeah, that's what it seems like. In line with the coronavirus, we've been, obviously the courthouse is very different now. Madi working from home, you're judging your cases using, I'm assuming, Zoom or something. Do you think that this is something that once coronavirus goes away, hopefully goes away at some point, and things go back to somewhat normalcy, do you think the production of having these Zoom type court hearings and court cases being on the internet freely is something that the courthouse, at least in your court or in general state district courts in Texas, should look at to potentially do to make the courts more open to the public?
Yes and no, because I'll say yes, because it does make it easier for people to attend, to participate. Obviously, if we have it we have a hearing on YouTube, more people can access what's going on. But that could lend itself to abuse because you can do all sorts of things with audio and video. You can splice videos, you can take out things out of context. and not just what a judge would say, but what people in the proceeding would say. So I would be very careful about that, and that's why that's one of the reasons why when I start court on Zoom, I admonish everybody: you cannot record the proceedings, and it's only to protect the integrity of what's happening in the courtroom, because you want to make sure that things are reported accurately and that the record. That's why there's a court reporter taking down the record, because that's someone that's entrusted with making sure that everything that happened actually happened, and it happened as the record says it happened. So I do have some concerns about just generally having hearings available online, but obviously it's something we have to do now because we need to keep courts moving, and it's very practical, and it's easy for everybody. You can be, I've heard a lot of lawyers say how it's more efficient now because it can be, you have two computers and they can be in Cameron County on one screen and then Hidalgo County on the other, and in different courts at the same time. So it makes it easy for practicing attorneys. So maybe there'll be I think once this is over, there'll be a way in which we can integrate some Zoom teleconferencing type capabilities to the courtroom. At least I would look into it. I don't want to close off my courtroom to those.
This is probably a question you cannot answer because of the judicial canons. Again, earlier, there's some questions you just should not answer. But a person asked, good evening, Judge Fonseca. What is your stance on Roe v. Wade? Should it be repealed?
That is definitely one question I cannot answer. Every Supreme Court decision at the trial court level needs to be followed. So that's my job. Now, it all depends. Every case is different. So every set of facts, the way that you apply the law is going to vary on the facts. So I think what's more important than looking at what an overall broad law is looking at what the facts are. And I can't comment on the facts because every case is going to be different, and the law is going to apply differently to every case because facts are different. I've sworn an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States, and that includes the way in which the Supreme Court has interpreted what that law is. So I am not the type of judge that legislates from the bench. The Supreme Court ultimately says what the law is, and I have to respect that. It's up to voters and to the legislature to do something about it.
Judge, we do have a question that you may be able to answer, although not publicly, but it's an important one, I believe. Important issue here.
Can Marty get a raise?
I should ask him again. Judge Fonseca, can Marty get a raise?
She's being very nice. She's being very nice.
I wouldn't be.
I'm gonna ask you a question. Why should voters support you rather than your opponent?
I think you need to look at the record, look at our qualifications. I've been an attorney for over 10 years. And prior to that, I've had a wide variety. I think I'm the only candidate that's done criminal work on both the defense side, on the prosecution side. I work for the Justice Department prosecuting crimes. When I was in law school, I worked at the Public Defender's Office. So I defended people that were accused of a crime. I've also filed lawsuits, defended lawsuits. I've been involved in probate matters, not just as a practicing attorney, but also when I was in law school. My very first case that I was left to do on my own was helping a young girl who had lost her mother. She was 17 and had two brothers that were 10 and 11, just trying to help her get the savings that her mother left at the bank. So I've done all sorts of things. I also worked for a federal judge right after law school. I was a law clerk for Judge Crane here in McAllen. So I had the unique experience of seeing how a courtroom works because I worked behind the scenes for 2 years. I helped the judge do the research and write the opinions. and I've been your judge for the last year. And I'm running on a platform of integrity and transparency. I've shown from in this past year, and I think anybody can attest to this, that I don't appoint friends and family to cases. If anybody needs an attorney and is a criminal defendant, they're referred to the Indigent Defense Office so that they can go from their list of attorneys, just go down the list to the next appointment. I don't make appointments from the bench. That's something I knew from the very beginning that I wasn't going to do, because that lends itself to favoritism, and I think that's a big problem that we've had in our county. So I did that from the very beginning of my career on the bench, and on civil cases, civil appointments, I do the same thing. I keep a list in the office, and I just go down that list. I don't start putting in friends above or ahead of anybody else. And another thing, and to prove that point, my former partners and colleagues at my old law firm, they are banned from my courtroom. They cannot practice in my courtroom. So nobody can say that I am helping them out. So if they are ever in a case in my courtroom, they're out. I recuse myself, and the case goes to another judge, because I don't want anybody to think, even have the appearance of impropriety. So that's what I've been focused on making sure that people know that I'm being transparent, and that I mean it when I say we shouldn't play favorites. And unfortunately, that's what politics has been. So I've been standing up to that, and I've been pretty vocal about it.
Well, I thank you for that, because that is something that is known here in this area, especially the favoritism and, putting friends and family, before.
Yeah. And, I'm very proud of the fact that everything I've done in my career has been through hard work, through going through interview process, through applications. I didn't have a friend or a family member giving me work. I didn't have anybody appoint me to anything just because I was related to someone. I graduated from law school, and I didn't have a job for months. I had to apply, I had to interview, and I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that I had to work for it. Even my appointment from the governor, I didn't know the governor. I think I misspelled Abbott before I got appointed. I didn't know how to spell his last name. So I went through a process, an interview process and an application process, and that's why I'm here. And now I'm in the toughest application process there could be, in making sure that Hidalgo County takes a look at my application and chooses to keep me as their judge.
Yeah, and Hidalgo County, it's very tough to run as a Republican because they automatically say, "Oh, you're a Republican. You're a person from the rich party," and they don't really want to give chances to Republicans. We had this situation in Cameron County where we had a very good judge that was appointed by Governor Abbott, and in Cameron County it's a little bit closer. You could probably get a Republican elected, but it's very difficult. So in Hidalgo County, what are you doing in the campaign in order to try to get your message out to say, I'm not running as a Republican, I was appointed, just the party I ran in, so that you can be able to potentially win this race?
I'm going to answer your question, but let me push back on the idea that Republicans are for the rich. Right. And because if you look at the two candidates in this race and their financial reports, I'm not the rich one.
No,
you look at the you look at the personal statements for the candidates, I'm not the rich one. So anybody that wants to use that argument, please look at the papers. Just look at the filings. There is no way. Okay. In fact, taking the bench was actually not the best thing to do financially, because going into public service instead of going and being a millionaire lawyer somewhere. So I hear that a lot from people, but it's just not true. And I think looking at this race in particular will show that. And going back to your question, which was, sorry, I just wanted to make that. I just
Oh, no,
wanted
no,
to bring.
it's not my argument about the argument that people would like to make out voters. People just, son para los ricos nomás, and he probably has a lot of money. He's probably gringo or whatever. They'll argue he's not really Mexican, or those kinds of arguments people will make because you're a Republican, as opposed to looking at your background. So what are you doing in your campaign? I don't think your campaign finance report has a lot of money in it. I think I gauged at it maybe a week ago or so. You're probably not getting a lot of buttloads of money in your campaign war chest compared to a Democrat in our area.
Right.
How are you able to get your message out in light of that and in light of coronavirus?
So luckily, the amount of volunteers that have been helping have been defrayed the costs that are associated with the campaign. So we're still able to get our message out. And the pandemic has affected. I don't think anybody can say that it hasn't, because I can't go out and shake people's hands. I'm sure a lot of people don't want to be close to anybody. They don't want to see me. I'm just a complete stranger to a lot of people. They don't want to have me going up to their doors and talking about the campaign. So that's been tough, because I believe in, looking someone in the eye, shaking their hand, and telling them, talking about what I'm trying to do in this race. So it's been tough. But we have Facebook, we have social media, and it's been great. That's been a great way to reach people, and it allows those that know me and that have gotten to know me to share that message. And it's organic, and it happens.
Yeah.
And one of the things, going back to that question you asked about differentiating yourself, and this whole Republican Democrat back and forth, when you put on a robe and you walk up to that bench, the robe is black. It's not red. It's not blue. Who's on the other side? It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican. You're looking at the law. You're looking at whether on issues. You're looking at how the law is going to be applied to those facts. So it has nothing to do with whether you're a Republican or Democrat. It's whether or not you have the capability, the capacity to actually rule based on the law. So that's what I ask people to look at. Is this an individual that can do that? Or is he beholden to friends and contributors and family, people that, is this someone who's going to be playing into this whole favoritism, the favorite issues? So that's how you need to look at judicial races.
Orlando has a question. How do you feel about our country trying to open up so that we can start to save our businesses?
Well, that's going to be a decision that's left up to the governor, and there are some constitutional issues that are involved there. So I don't want to say too much because I know there are a lot of cases right now.
There's one
about what the governor is doing.
Yeah, there was one in Pennsylvania that was just ruled on. I think President Trump referenced it, so you probably can't answer the question. But
yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. But it's
okay. Well, it's time for my favorite part, and your favorite part is the rapid fire questions. And these are rapid fire questions. These are answer whatever comes up in your mind. You don't have to overthink it. And these are 2 minutes, and it's only 2 minutes, so we get through as many of these as possible. I think you're gonna have some trouble with a couple of these, so I'm just letting you know. So this would be 2 minute rapid fire questions sponsored by the Second Amendment. Yay! Ready with the clock, Manny? Ready with the clock?
Ready. Go.
Notre Dame basketball or Notre Dame football?
Notre Dame football.
All right. Favorite Notre Dame alum: Regis Philbin or Condoleezza Rice?
Condoleezza Rice.
Yeah, and I don't want people getting mad. I know she only had a master's degree, but she's still an alum. There you go. Best Notre Dame coach: Lou Holtz or Newt Rockne?
Lou Holtz.
Wow, I did not expect that.
And I met him.
Yeah. Favorite Notre Dame quarterback: Joe Montana or Joe Theismann?
Joe Montana.
All right. How many times have you watched the movie Rudy?
Can't count them.
Really? Yeah, me neither. Disney World or Disneyland? Disney World or Disneyland?
Disney
World.
World.
There you go. All right. Corn nuts, chile limon or ranch?
Chile limon.
All right. Are Delia's tamales overrated or underrated?
Overrated.
All right. And finally, the last question. The Zach Cantu of KURV sponsored question, cake or pie?
Oof. Wow. That's where I'm stumped.
It's the sponsored question, Zach. Zach wants us to ask this question of every candidate or of everybody.
Cake.
All right. Good question. And we're done. I think we got 2 minutes.
Yeah, minute and a half. We had some time left over.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, there we go.
That's the first one. I mean, if I would have known, I usually write about 12 or 13, but we never get to like 10. So I said, there you go. All right, congratulations. You win nothing other than the fact that you answered some questions. Wow.
He's already a winner for choosing Joe Montana.
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised. Wow, Lou Holtz. Okay.
I'm a man of conviction, so I knew right away.
There you go. Integrity at its finest. Thanks, Judge Fonseca. All right, now, no, Roman. It's left switch. What? I'm gonna have to. No, I'm not changing the question. I could accidentally got like a ding. Apparently, Zach wants me to change the question now. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not. It's cake or pie, man. Cake or pie. All right. Waiting for some of these. Okay. Yes, to be impartial. That precedent.
Some of your comments have been sitting here for a little bit.
Yeah, we want to get through them.
Some or just comments. Otherwise, some of them you can answer if you like.
Yeah. 1,000% or wait, 100,000%. And next question. None.
Back.
Roman left Twix, right Twix. Okay, I'm going to ask you the question: left Twix or right Twix? But it's not changing. Right. Okay, there you go. Vote Judge Fonseca. Some interesting questions I want to ask about your biography. You went to which Edinburgh high school did you go to, and did you regret going to Edinburgh and not going to Weslaco because you were born in Weslaco? You said you were born in Weslaco, right?
I actually, yes, I was born in Weslaco, but I actually went to what used to be called the Teacher Academy. So that was South Texas ISD. They're world scholars now?
Yeah. Is that over the one in Mercedes, right across from Med High?
No, Edinburgh.
No, that's the one in Edinburgh on Sugar.
Yeah, that's okay.
Before you get to
there's a SciTech and there's Med High, and then the Teachers Academy is over there.
Right.
Yeah. My personal
same district.
Yeah, same district. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, did you regret not going to Edinburgh then, to one of those schools? Did you enjoy going to South Texas Academy or SciTech?
No, I liked it. It was a small community. There were less than 8 people in my graduating class. Mm-hmm. So it was a pretty small class, which was great. You get a lot more attention from teachers, and they really prepared me for a tough university.
What was it about Notre Dame that made you want to go to Notre Dame? I mean, you got your bachelor's degree, law degree. Usually, you don't do both at the same place, but you did. What was it about Notre Dame that you wanted to go there?
It's the only place on earth you can fall in love with. It's hard to describe. Just the whole atmosphere. People are so inviting. You have an aspect of faith is a part of everyday life. They call it the Catholic Disney World because there's faith infused in everything, even in college football. College football is part of the religion there. Mm-hmm. So it's all the components, and the people were just amazing. I just didn't see that anywhere else. And obviously, it's a top-ranked school, and that was important for me because that helps you get a little further.
Are you still going to get your master's degree in public policy at UTRGV? You're not. You're not even pursuing that anymore because you're a judge now.
Not at this time. I stopped taking courses last summer, not because of the job. I didn't even know I was going to have this job, but because my wife and I were expecting, and our son, and so we put it on pause. And then obviously after getting the job and starting a campaign, it's probably not a good time to also take on a master's. But I'd like to finish it. You know, my dream retirement job would be being a professor.
Well, if you ever want to get a master's degree or a doctorate degree, I teach at Wayland Baptist University. So if you'd like to get a Protestant background, it's very strange. You know, our counseling department head person is a Catholic priest from the Diocese of Brownsville, strangely enough. But yeah, he's pretty cool. What has being a father changed you in you know, were you different now than you were before being a dad?
Yeah. I'm such a softie now.
Don't say that. I'm a hard judge. A good question would be Star Wars or Star Trek. You know what? I will add it to potential questions in the future. I try to change up
And
the
one
questions. You know?
Can we get his answer on Star Trek or Star Wars?
I don't want to offend anybody if I don't have to.
Yeah, no, it's not. We're not. He doesn't answer that question. It's not part of chess. No, Royal. I will have to add that for you know what? I'll add those 2 questions on for the rapid fire for Justice Tijerina tomorrow. Let him suffer with the consequences of his answers on that one. He already answered the Delias Tamales. I don't know if he can get more than 15% by saying what he just said, but maybe he might, because I believe Delias Tamales are overrated.
Too. I agree with
like
him.
I don't know why people think I mean I'm not originally, you know, and I don't go to they're in McAllen, right, on 10th Street or something. Like, who wants tamales from? I'd rather get tamales from my tia. Give me a break. You know,
that's what I think.
Yeah, family tamales are better.
Yeah.
When you were up in Notre Dame, did you miss the Mexican food from the Valley? You know, did you miss it? What did you do to be able to get that craving for tacos?
No, I didn't. I didn't miss it. You know, I'm only half Mexican. My dad is Cuban.
Okay.
So I wasn't used to a lot of spice, and I'm still not. So I didn't miss all the spiciness. And you know, the people in Indiana weren't too bad with their food. It was pretty good. It's not too bad.
I think Orlando just all of his business to you now that you're half Cuban. I don't think Orlando Perez is Cuban as well. I don't think he even knew that. Right, Orlando. If you're still watching on Facebook, he's going to give you your business probably. We wanted to promote a sponsor today, right, Manny? Just interrupt. They're not actual sponsors. We're not charging for advertising. We're trying to help small business, but there's a particular one, Orlando's business, his business, and then the one for New York Deli. He has a Salsa McAllen dance company. It's the only full-time private active dance studio in the RGV. It's 6421 North 10th Street. Suite 130 in McAllen, Texas. Check them out at salsamcallen.com. And the other one we wanted to promote today is New York Deli. New York Deli in Harlingen was subject to vandalism overnight at about 1:30. New York Deli recently made news by doing a fundraiser drive for the 2 officers from McAllen that were brutally murdered. And so I'm not going to say that for sure that this is politically motivated, but obviously anybody who vandalizes a small business overnight is a thug. That's my personal opinion. You don't have to agree, Judge. But we would like to support New York Deli. There's 4 locations in the Valley, and they're all family owned and operated by the Rendon family. The New York Deli in McAllen, the New York Deli in Harlingen, the New York Deli in Wesco, and my favorite, the one New York Deli in Brownsville. Please support them. We're here at RioPolitics. We're asking everybody if they can go all this week to New York Deli, visit your closest location, and support them because they support conservative causes. They support Back the Blue, and we want to help our small businesses, especially during this pandemic. So thank you for that opportunity. Myra, do you have a question? I'm sure you do. Do you?
No, I think I've asked enough questions.
Really?
No. Seeing you, Judge Fonseca, and you can count on support. I don't know if I can say it here, but I will say it. If you need help.
You want a question? Come on, it's okay. It's fair. This is probably the only time you can ask.
I would say, what's it like having the best coordinator in the 464?
You're my only coordinator, so I can say you're the best coordinator I've ever had.
Why did you pick Madi? No, we're not asking that question again. Josh, no. What was it about Madi that made you want to? You obviously you get to pick your coordinator. What is it about Madi that you wanted to work with her?
She came highly recommended from a very good judge.
Okay.
And in my first week on the job, she proved herself to be very, very valuable. So that's why I decided to keep her, and she's been an invaluable part of the team.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we want to keep. We don't want to use all of your time. We try to do our hour show. You're more than welcome to come again in October, or anytime you want to come on. This isn't the first time we want to see you, because
I've enjoyed myself. So it was fun.
Yeah, it's just that we're opening this up for any candidate who wants to come on. Even if your rich opponent wants to come on, she wants to come on. Well, and ask her. I guess I don't know why she would want to come on, because I might be tough on that. I'm just kidding. No, the first time easy. The second time, might ask you tougher questions. But you're more than welcome. Is there any? This is the Kim Wyatt question. Kim Wyatt is the former news director at LGBT TV Channel 4. She was there for many years. So her question usually is, is there something that I or Myra or Madi or Manny or any of our commenters asked that you want to answer? Is there a particular thing that we didn't talk about that you want to talk about? You feel you need to talk about?
That's been the toughest question this hour.
Oh, wow.
Geez, man, you stumped me. What question I would ask?
Kim Wyatt. She's not with us at Channel 4. She's actually in Tallahassee, and my prayers are with her because they are I think in the midst of Hurricane Sally right now. So she's greatly.
One thing, and somebody else has asked me, you guys didn't, but somebody else, why do I do this? Why do I subject myself to campaigning and going through the ringer? And what I've told people, it's because of these folks up here, right behind me, because I want to make sure that we have a community that we can be proud of, and I want to put in my 2 cents to do that.
Yeah. Who is your favorite judge? Liza Judy. I think you're gonna have to. You know what? You're gonna have to go on his 956 show on Saturdays on 710 Talk Radio. His 2-hour show every Saturday. I'm still waiting for the invitation, Zach. At some point. I don't mind when. Sergio still has not invited me for election night coverage, but I'm assuming I'll be there. Judge, thank you so much for coming on with us. I appreciate it. We want to help you as much as possible in Hidalgo County. And because this is important, our judicial system is massively important to us. In Cameron County, we've had judges go to jail, federal prison, because of criminal things. And so if we don't have a fair and non-corrupt judiciary, we're in trouble in our region. So having good judges like yourself is something important. So hopefully you will win this race because we need good people like you on the bench. Guys, any announcements? Oh, Madi, we didn't even get to talk about your thing. Madi, you left the dark. Madi, why did you go? Wait. Okay. Well, Madi, I think this is her way of making sure she comes back on the show because we were gonna. There you are, Madi. We talked about it last night, but we didn't talk. We were gonna talk about it today. Your school supply thing that you do, and what you're doing right now for it to help kids get school supplies. Are you still doing this right now during the pandemic?
Yes, we are. It's actually it's year round. It's nonstop, so we don't stop. Right now we're finalizing or trying to get our 501c3. We're state recognized nonprofit. We already submitted for our 501c3, and so pending that designation, and so it's nonstop. We have PayPal. It's just people donating directly to our cause, and what we do is that we'll purchase all in bulk. We package it. We have AT&T has always helped us out each year, so we stuff our bags with all the school supplies, and certain school districts or the campuses that we help have a certain way since everything is virtual instruction. It's kind of like a drive-by, and so we give to them, and when the parents go by to pick up their lunches for the kids, and they know which students need the extra school supplies, they hand it to them. So it's very easy. It's a system in place, and we've been doing it for over 10 years now. Helped out at least over 3,000 kids. I wish I could do more, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and make sure, Manny, get the information from Madi so we can be able to promote it, at least in any of the upcoming shows, because we want to promote as much as we possibly can, because this is about the community. This isn't about us making money or anything like that. At least that's not why I'm doing this. We just want to help out candidates and get informed people throughout the Rio Grande Valley. So I think we're done. I think, is there anything last moment, Manny? Nothing? Myra, any announcements you want to make just in case you can't come back on this week? Myra?
I'm not invited.
Yeah, you are, obviously, but you weren't here last night because you were traveling from San Antonio. We were expecting you last night.
I'm so sorry. No. Just our regular Saturday, the Trump train and the Cameron County Conservatives, look us up. We'll be doing something every Saturday until Election Day. If you're not registered to vote in Hidalgo County, look me up. I can register you. Anybody that can do block walk or phone banking, I forget that. Let the GOP know, because we are in need right now. We need to win this election. So get in touch with us, please.
Ernest actually had a question. Sorry, I thought we were done, but that's a good question. What can we do to help your campaign? He's asking I guess he wants to help your campaign, Judge.
Sure. You can visit my webpage, www.judgefonseca.com. You can send a message. There is a tab for donations. There's also a link. There's a direct link to the Facebook page. And we're putting announcements there all the time about what it is that we're doing, getting out. Right now, we're still putting up signs. We've put up, thanks to the work of a lot of people, we've put up over 200 signs already across Hidalgo County. Very proud of that. And there's still more. We can keep putting up more. So if people have any properties where they want to put their the sign, let us know. Drop a line. Let me know. And obviously contributions to keep our ads going and reaching out more voters, and volunteering. We can use people like Myra said. Let's make some phone calls. Let's reach people. Make sure they get out and vote, and that they're informed about who their candidates are.
Phone banking is massively important, and so is door knocking. This election shouldn't be won just by over the airs and just, it has to be one-on-one kind of stuff. And obviously mail-outs are expensive. And so any kind of donation you can get, I've looked at the campaign finance report. You need to help Judge Fonseca as much as you possibly can, so that, there's an ability to be able to beat, again, the rich Democrat, not the rich Republican, because he's not rich. So anyway, God bless you, Judge. I think we're done.
God bless you.
We'll see you tomorrow. Again, we're going to have Justice Jaime Tejeda tomorrow at 7:30. So please join us. Like and share our page, and especially this video, so you can inform other voters, especially if you're not in Hidalgo County, but I'm sure you have a lot of Facebook friends from Hidalgo County. Please be sure to share it and like our page as well. Thank you. God bless y'all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.